Excellencies, ministers, distinguished officials from the multilateral agencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to this fourth session of the Global Small Island Developing States Leaders, also known as SIDS. My name's Juliette Foster, and over the next 90 minutes, I'll be guiding you through what I'm sure will be a thought-provoking and fascinating discussion, the theme of which is Seeds for All, Hunger for None, enhancing African seed systems to benefit small island developing states. A big subject indeed. The organisers of the Global SIDS Leaders are also extremely grateful for the kind sponsorship of Bayer in supporting these debates at transnational level. So thank you so much for that support. Now, let's go into the past to take a look at the genesis of this debate. It goes all the way back to 1996, the year of the UN World Food Summit, and that declaration which underlined that universal food security can only exist when everyone has permanent physical and economic access to safe, nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and preferences. An ambition that was set to be reached by 2015 and which was further enshrined in the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Now, the ambition of the Sustainable Development Goal number 2 is very specific because it focuses on ending hunger, achieving food security, and improving nutrition, as well as promoting sustainable farming. But whilst zero hunger is a universally accepted aspiration, it is fair to say that time is running out. Sub-Saharan Africa is not on track to meet its target of eradicating all forms of hunger and malnutrition by 2030. The numbers really speak for themselves. Let's take a look at the most recent estimates from 2019, which reports that almost 690 million people, and we're talking here about nearly 9% of the global population, remain undernourished. Now, for small island developing states like the Sub-Saharan African mainland, numbers like this really bring into focus their severe vulnerabilities and food security risks. And of course, it is a situation that has been accentuated by two other key factors, namely climate change and, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic, all of which begs the questions, how do you reverse these dangers? Well, fostering increased access to nutritious food via plant-based innovations, allowing farmers to access new varieties of high-quality climate-adaptive seeds, well, that is one solution. But rolling out these techniques requires cultivation on a scale that is both affordable and manageable. Again, climate change, which I referred to earlier, has an impact with its unpredictable weather patterns, and it challenges both existing cultivation season cycles and, of course, the knowledge of local indigenous farmers. But as this debate will demonstrate, solutions that were pioneered in Africa could be adapted to the particular topographical characteristics and soil compositions of small islands. Mobile technologies, for instance, along with remote sensing services and distributed computing, are improving the access of smallholder farmers to information, techniques, and markets. But how far can they go in tackling these challenges in addition to existing economic and capacity limitations already faced by vulnerable nations? And what about the cost? It's all very well to talk about technology, but who should foot the bill for installing these new innovations? And the question must also be asked, is it possible to design climate-smart seed policies that are sensitive to different soil compositions and farming systems, and which at the same time are capable of delivering socially fair and beneficial outcomes to vulnerable communities, such as those in small island states? So there's plenty for us to consider, and they're just some of the issues that will be examined by our distinguished panel of experts. Let me give you an idea of what's going to happen. Each panelist will give a 5-minute speech, although having said that, there is room for a little bit of leeway on that. And afterwards, or rather during these speeches, they're going to outline their particular position, and after which I will ask them a question. And then, of course, we will come to a more general selection of questions at the end of this first set. So much is happening, plenty of ground to cover. All of that for later. But let's focus now by hearing some opening words of welcome from His Excellency David Doyle. Now, he is the ambassador of St. Kitts and Nevis to UNESCO. He's also the co-founding partner with Ambassador Jean-Paul Carteron of the Solomon Islands of the GSL initiative.
Thank you, Juliette. Excellencies, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to this Global SIDS Leaders event devoted to SIDS for All, hunger for none, and perhaps importantly, its implications for small island developing states, known under the acronym of SIDS. Now, this is the fourth such event, bringing together leading experts from the UN family of organizations across the globe, multilateral and bilateral donors and countries, prominent research institutions, and of course, ministers from the small islands themselves to debate critical strategic issues of importance to the future sustainability of small island developing states. The genesis of this Global SIDS Leaders initiative was driven by the need in a very increasingly multipolar world to raise the profile of small island developing states on the international agenda. The objective is to secure a better understanding of the small islands' specific challenges, build mutual support at key transnational and regional negotiations, whether it's addressing the destructive nature of climate change or combating the spread of COVID, managing indebtedness, or as the topic of today's event explores, developing innovative agricultural technologies to meet the particular needs of small island developing states. Now, small island developing states represent something like 38 independent sovereign states scattered indeed across the globe, from the Caribbean to the Atlantic Ocean, from the Pacific to the Indian Ocean, representing 20% of the UN membership. Now, whilst we are very proud of the fact we have 20% of the UN membership, or 1/5 if you like, SIDS' remoteness, size, limited institutional capacity sometimes results in many of these islands, if not all of them, facing particular challenges in getting their collective voices heard at bilateral and multilateral level discussions. It was with this ambition in mind that my partner in this particular initiative, Ambassador Jean-Paul Carteron of the Solomon Islands, we instigated the Global SIDS Leaders Initiative to give a more assertive voice to SIDS at transnational level. Ultimately, it's through important and timely debates of this nature, such as today, on the development of new SIDS technology being pioneered in Africa with potential for small island developing states, that we seek to inscribe the small island strengths, opportunities, risks, and weaknesses on the global development agenda, and also allow SIDS to become essentially an integral part also of identifying the solutions. So without further ado, let me just also underline our deep appreciation to the sponsor of this event, Bayer, and I wish you all an enjoyable debate. Thank you.
Ambassador Doyle, thank you for those words. Now, let me welcome our next speaker, and this is Her Excellency, Mrs. Josefa Sacko. Now, she's the Commissioner for Rural Economy and Agriculture of the African Union Commission. We welcome you. Thank you for being here. Now, prior to her appointment, she was Special Advisor to the Angolan Minister of the Environment and the Minister of Agriculture. Now, Excellency, the floor is yours. I know that you are pushed for time, so I'm going to sit back and leave you to give us your speech.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor, Juliette Foster. Good afternoon, every one of you from Addis Ababa. Excellencies, Ambassador, I can acknowledge the presence of Ambassador Jean-Paul Carteron, the presence of my dear sister, Marie-Hélène Semedo, colleagues, panelists, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Thank you, Juliette Foster, for the question, for giving me the floor. Let me also begin by thanking the organizer for the invitation to the African Union Commission to participate in this fourth section of the Global Small Island Developing State Leaders on a very topical issue. This theme of the debate is timely for the continent. As we all know, we just finished our 31st Ordinary Assembly of Head of State and Government at the African Union. Then we select the theme of the year 2022 is strengthening resilience in nutrition and food security on the African continent, strengthening agro-food system, health and social protection system for the acceleration of human, social and economic capital development. So let me also have the opportunity to share with you the status of hunger and malnutrition in sub-Saharan Africa, and in particular in the SIDS. I know that my sister Maria Semedo has already, given a very, very informative presentation. I will just go more on the policies that this organization, the African Union, that we are doing in terms of mitigating the effect of hunger and malnutrition on our continent. So sub-Saharan Africa is not on track to meet its development targets of ending all forms of hunger and malnutrition by 2030. This is the Sustainable Development Goal, and also the Malabo goals of 2025 to end hunger. Our third biannual review report that we just presented during our summit that just ended 3 days ago, this report was presented by the Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, who is the champion or coordinator of the flagship program CADEP, to the African head of state during the summit. It indicates that only one country, which is Rwanda, that is on track to meet hunger goal by 2025. This report is really an alert call that we need to really speed up our ambition, like as Elena said it very rightly, in order to really mitigate the impact of hunger and malnutrition to our population. In fact, hunger in sub-Saharan Africa is increasing across all the region, and almost 20% of the continent's population is undernourished, the highest in the world. The major challenges are the climate change, it was also said by colleague panelists, and the COVID-19, which push more 30 to 40 million people into poverty, revising the gain that we have made during the past 5 years. In the past 5 years. As some of you may be aware, the African Union has been partnering with FAO to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on food security and nutrition in Africa, beginning with our meeting with African Agriculture Minister in April 20, immediately after the occurrence of the pandemic of COVID-19. So we started taking action, and there is a political declaration that came out in order for us to really control and keep on, in track, so that we can not look at the disruption on the distribution side, value chain of our sector. The COVID-19 pandemic is threatening the food security and nutrition and the climate resilience of small island developing states, the SIDS, which share many threats, including a resilience on international trade and imported foods, high rate of malnutrition, and existential threats as a result of their vulnerability to climate change. We need to support those islands. It's very, very important. We are all following what is happening now in Madagascar, and 2 weeks ago it was the cyclone, and cyclones, I think they need special attention. That's why I commend the organizer to organize this video conference. There is an urgent need to tackle these economic and nutritional challenges through accelerated agricultural development. We need to work together to attend the African Union Team of the Year 2022, which is, as I said, strengthening resilience in nutrition and food security on the African continent in order to strengthen agro-food system, health, and the social protection system for the acceleration of human, social, and economic capital development. We are all aware we just have also another tool that we can really utilize, because we had the ever first the food system summit, the UN Food System Summit, who came about with a lot of recommendations. And we in the continent, in this region, we also had our common position, the only region, globally that presented the common position with 53 game-changing in order really to improve the situation of hunger and malnutrition on our continent. So what we need, the benefit of SIDS to food security and agricultural productivity cannot be overemphasized. Quality animal and plant seeds are the foundation of agricultural productivity improvement, and well-functioning seed systems are critical to improve food and nutrition security, resilience, and livelihood of smallholder farmers in Africa. We need to design and scale up climate-smart seed policy that are sensitive to different soil composition and farm system. I think here I made a pledge to FAO to join us in this journey. On our part, the African Union produced a white paper which reviewed the effect of COVID-19 crisis on key aspects of the seed sector in Africa. It describes action by governments and other stakeholders in response to emerging challenges in the seed system sector. Building on the above, the paper concludes with short and medium-term recommendations to build resilient seed system, thereby strengthening food system serving Africa. We have also designed the African Seed and Biotechnology Program. Our fourth STC, which is the Specialized Technical Committee, which is ministerial, held in December 2021, took note of the progress report on the implementation of the 10 years action plan of the African Seed and Biotechnology Program 2021-2030, and endorsed the African Seed and Biotechnology Platform and accompanying operation guidelines as the coordination mechanism for the implementation of the African Seed and Biotechnology Program. I thank you very much for your kind attention. Merci beaucoup pour votre attention. Muito obrigada.
Merci beaucoup, Excellency. I wonder if you can stay with us for one more minute, because I know that you do have to attend a meeting. There is a question which I would like to put to you very, very briefly. But I mean, you talked about the environmental challenges for SIDS in sub-Saharan Africa, and of course, those challenges compounded by COVID-19. But what about political instability in some countries? Has that also contributed to making seed systems perhaps more vulnerable?
Thank you for your question. We have a lot of challenges, as Marie-Hélène said. We have a lot of challenges that is really disrupting our food system in Africa, and the conflict is one of the challenges that we have. That is why during our summit, with our head of state called for really peace, and we are going to organize a very big, an extraordinary summit in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, on terrorism, instability, and all these conflict issues that is hampering the development in our continent. So we have taken it into action, and then we're looking forward the outcome of this important extraordinary summit on terrorism and humanitarian. I thank you.
Thank you very much, and we wish you well with your conference. So thank you so much for those of you who have taken part in today's discussion. We appreciate your contribution, and we look forward to seeing you, well, hearing from you again in the not too distant future. Because remember, the small island developing states, this is their time. Their voices are being heard. It's time for all of us to listen and to work together. Thank you.